Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to today's encore webinar of Amplify Your Brand. We had some glitches earlier in the week, so I know that some of you were not able to be on Monday's webinar, so I wanted to hold this one today. I know it's Friday and everybody wants to get their weekend groove on, so I'm going to make this as speedy as I possibly can and still make sure that I get your questions answered around your brand. As I said, I wanted you to bring any of your branding questions or challenges today. I'm going to get them answered on the webinar for you. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the presentation mode, and you won't see me for a while, but you'll hear me. So, I think there might have been some glitches with the sound just now. So I want to take a moment again and say welcome to the webinar. If you couldn't hear me a few minutes earlier and you just saw the wah, 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 I think my microphone, oh wait, there it goes again. I think I'm having some technical difficulties with my mic today. It's flashing and then it's not flashing. So I think we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and slide into presentation mode here, and then I'll be back on again at the end of the webinar to answer any questions that you may have. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All righty, let's see here. Okay. All right, let's see. For some reason, this went back down to the end of the webinar. It's Friday. I thought Mercury retrograde was over. Apparently, it is not. Okay, this is freezing for a moment, so just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, we're back in business, so we're going to go back to screen share mode again. Let's try this one more time, shall we? Okay. Let's get ourselves all situated here. And here we go. Yay for techno dorks who don't know what they're doing. Okay, so you're here on this webinar today to amplify your brand. We want to fine-tune your frequency and turn up the volume in your brand. I'm Danielle M. Miller, and I'm a branding specialist, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me in a few minutes here. But the first thing that I want to do is welcome you to the webinar today. As you can see, there's a chat box there, so if you have any questions, if you have thoughts or ideas that you want to share in the chat box, you can go ahead and do that. I probably will be checking that again till the end of the webinar, so go ahead and post away. There's also a private chat feature. If you have a specific question for me that you don't want the general population to see, you can direct message that to me, and I will reply back to you via private message as well. So I think that's really all I need to show you right now with concerning the software and the platform. So what I want you to do is I want you to come to this today with a beginner's mind and think about the information and how it applies to your particular situation, your business, your brand. Get a beverage if you haven't already done so, a pen and some paper to take notes. You know, and I'd love to hear your observation as we're going through this material today. What do you think about it? How does it relate to you and what's going on with your business? And really take this information and apply it to what you're doing in your business, and you're going to get results. So this training is for you if you're ready to lead and not follow. You know, if that's really the bottom line with having a resonant and aligned brand, is that you are positioning yourself as a leader. People are looking to you for information, for encouragement, support, guidance, and inspiration. And that is the basis of having a brand in your business. And you know it's time to stop winging it. You're kind of, you know, putting things together here and there and not really sure if what you're doing is sticking to the walls and you're kind of going month to month and you don't have that inner alignment around your brand message and how you show up each and every day. This training's for you if your revenue is not reflecting the value you know that you have. I see this all too often with women entrepreneurs struggling to have their business be profitable and have it make the money that they know that they are worth and their experience is worth and their knowledge is worth. And if you have been continuing to struggle with that, you're going to get some great information today on how to turn that around. You also want to get crystal clear on who you are and what you do. Really interesting thing I saw the other day in a Facebook thread was a woman had posted something around her work, and I think maybe she was a web designer, something like that. And one of the comments that I saw was, "Oh my gosh, wow, for 6 months I thought you were a life coach." So, you may think people know what you do, but the fact of the matter is many of them do not. And it's because you're not consistently telling them who you are and what you do for them. So if any of these apply to you, you're absolutely in the right place today. And I'm so glad that you're here. So I want to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm doing this and why you should listen to me. And so I started out in the online space back in 2007. So I feel like I'm practically, an online dinosaur at this point. And as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I decided that life coaching would really be the hustle that I wanted to parlay into a full-time business. And the bottom line was that in 2009, I got really sick and the side hustle got sidelined. And so that all came crashing down for me. And I basically had to start over from scratch. And in 2010, I met a mentor and coach that really opened my eyes up to branding and what that meant. And it was just like this light bulb went off. And it was a match made in heaven. And for the last 5 years, that's exactly what I have been doing. I have been supporting women entrepreneurs in building a brand that truly reflects who they are and how they show up. So this is me. This is, some of the most important things in my life. My family, you can see them there at the top. My kids. I have 2 sons in the military, and one darling, adorable grandson that my daughter has gifted me with. And they really are my big why in life. My other big why is the work that I do. And so I knew that when I got my career coaching certification, I wanted to help people figure out what was next for them and what their work was about and how they could really tap into their gifts and strengths and use them to their fullest potential and be profitable at it. Because not only do you want to do what you love, but you want to make money at it too. And so, as I said before, that's what I've been doing the last 5 years. It's really helping women entrepreneurs get clear on their brand and how they show up and how they can make more money in their business. And so I have taken that knowledge in the last 5 years, and in March of this year, I fulfilled a lifelong dream of mine, and I wrote a book, which became a best-selling book called Smarty Pants Branding, the ultimate guide for women entrepreneurs to getting recognized, being remembered, and making more money in their business. And it is really something that I'm extremely proud of. It's one of the most proud accomplishments that I have in my life. And I'm, as painful as it was in the process, it really was so worth it. And so if you would like to learn more about that, you can go on Amazon and check that out. It's available as a Kindle version right now. Print version is going to be coming out later in the year. And so, having this really clear, resonant, and aligned brand has afforded me so many opportunities, things that I would not have had been able to do had I not been so clear in my brand and my work and how that shows up. And one of the many opportunities that I have been afforded in speaking and teaching is being a presenter at the National Association of Professional Women's Conference, which you can see there at the top with some amazing women that I got the chance to hang out with and have lunch with, Martha Stewart and Ariana Huffington and Sarah Blakely. So I don't have Spanx on today, but I do love me some Sarah Blakely. She's changed my life. And you can see there Star Jones and Kim Garst of Social Boom. And I do know for a fact that those type of opportunities would not have come had I not taken the time to get clear around the work that I do and my message and how I want to share that with the world. So I invite you to join me for the rest of this webinar today. At the end of it, I have a gift for you. So in appreciation for taking some time out of your Friday to hang out with me. I know you're probably looking forward to getting your weekend started, as I am too. So I appreciate you and want to honor you and give you a little something as you come away from this webinar with this information that you can apply and use right away. All right, so let's get started. Let's get started and talk about you. So the first pillar that I want to talk about in your brand is your brand message. And your brand message consists of what I call the 3 Ps: taking a stand and KISS, and not the rock band KISS. So I know I'm dating myself right there, aren't I? But so this first pillar about your brand message, let's start with these 3 Ps. And the first one is your purpose. And this is really your why. This is what I just talked about in my story a little bit. Why are you doing this work? What does it mean to you? It's also about your personal why. The things that are so important in your life that you want to, your work is the foundation for that personal why in your life. It's why you show up every day. It's why your work makes a difference in the world. So that first P, that purpose piece, it's so important to get really, really clear on that. Understanding your why, really articulating it, because honestly, I'll tell you, as you start building a business, as you start figuring out who your ideal clients are and what types of marketing strategies are the best ones for you and your business, and all of those other moving parts, you tend to lose sight of that why and your purpose. And it's so important to keep that front and center in your brand. It keeps you relatable to people, because at the end of the day, people connect with people. So this just isn't about having a brand for your business. It's how you show up in your business each and every day. And so the second P is really all about your position. So it's about what you believe about your work. What is your particular take on this work that you do? It involves your perspective and your beliefs. So that's really the position that you take around your work. And the third P is about your platform. So your platform is how you communicate your position and your message, both visually and verbally. The platform is really what your brand stands on. And that leads right into taking a stand. You have got to get clear on what your core values are. The 3 to 5 things in your life and business that are non-negotiable. These have to show up in order for your business and yourself to thrive and flourish. And this is really where you draw that line in the sand. This is not about being vanilla or being nice. This is about having these core values, these beliefs that you know deep in your heart to be true, and not being afraid to voice them, not be afraid to show them every single day. You think about the role models and people that you admire, and the women that you look up to. Their brand message is super clear and they don't waver on it. And that's what I want for you too, because that's what creates that resonance and that alignment, and that's what that indefinable something that people gravitate towards. And the final piece of this is the kiss. Keep it simple, sugar. You don't have to have some long, complicated brand message that nobody understands. Brief, clear, concise. Brevity is beautiful. So this is really about boiling it down to the essence. Really, really getting clear and using some super clear language that fully encapsulates what your brand message is. Grab my little arrow here. And so the second pillar is your brand story. This is what differentiates your brand. This is how you tell your brand message. This is what builds relationships with people and creates those connections. This is what binds people to you, is being able to tell your story. And it's not, people get so hung up on this because, oh my gosh, my brand story is about me. If you approach it from the standpoint of, how can my story help other people? How can I share my journey with them so that it includes them and they feel like they are validated, that you get them? That's really, really the essence of your brand story. It's designed to tell people why they should care about what you have to say. And it's designed to help people connect with you in a way that not only do they feel like you can help them, but you also totally understand their journey. And that leads us right into that third pillar, which is your audience. Those perfect clients, that right tribe, those ideal people that you want to be talking to. And it's more than just the demographics piece of it. Obviously, if you are, for example, let's say a health coach, talking to a millennial about healthy eating is going to be very different than talking to a woman who's in her 50s. So that demographic piece is important. But it's also about that psychographic piece. Do you truly understand your ideal client's journey? Have you walked it? Do you show empathy for it? That's really the key to attracting those dream clients. And you will go through a refining process in your brand of identifying those ideal clients. And that's not to say, using our health coach example, that a health coach who coaches millennials on healthy eating in their busy lives can't still help a woman who's in her 50s, maybe going through menopause, and she's not losing weight the way she wants to. I could be talking about myself here, but and it's not to say that you can't, as a health coach, help both groups of people. And some of those people will come into your orbit, but you really want to focus on who that dream client is. Who would you absolutely love to wake up to work with every single day? And when you start doing that, it helps your message become so much more clear. It helps your brand story become so much more clear, because you can take that ideal client and you can put her right in there. And that's what will create that resonant and aligned brand. So it's so important to truly understand and empathize with your audience. I think, honestly, my belief about this is you've got to have gone through that journey yourself before you can truly understand the people that you want to help and serve. You've got to have, at least to some degree, experienced their journey as well. And then that fourth pillar is your brand promise. And this is all about really, will you do what you say you will do? It's funny, I've recently just had some experiences where I've run into this time and time again about not living up to your brand promise. You know, not really consistently having the work that you do show up over and over again. And really it boils down to a consistency of experience. So I know a lot of times, and I know I did this myself, I tend to get really rootsy around being consistent and, you know, systems and blueprints and formulas and things like that. And I think in general as entrepreneurs, the word consistent we kind of freak out about because we think that it means that we have to be the exact same thing every single day. And that's not the case. You know, as a solo professional, as an entrepreneur, you are multifaceted, and that's to be expected. The consistency piece comes in your message, in your story, and in your brand promise. Will you do what you say you're going to do consistently? And it's one way to think about this is a really key question. And I find that it will really make you think about what you're delivering on over and over again. So here's the question. What are you increasing and decreasing for your ideal clients? And what I mean by that is, on a consistent basis, what is the pain that you decrease for your clients? What do you take away for them? What struggles or challenges do you decrease for them? And on the other side of that, what are you increasing? What are the emotions and feelings that you're increasing for your right clients, for your perfect clients? And that's the promise that you want to deliver on over and over again. When you've defined those things, it's like a huge light bulb goes off. Because this doesn't have to be complicated. It's a process and it's a framework, but it doesn't have to be something that you struggle and agonize over, you know. So think about this, your promise, as what are you increasing? What emotions and feelings are you increasing for your clients? The pleasure part. And then there's the pain part. What are you going to decrease for them? What are you going to take away? What are you going to lessen? What are you going to get rid of completely for them? And that is the essence of your brand promise. And finally, this last pillar is kind of my favorite. I so want to hang out with this lady. I think she's so awesome. And the fifth pillar is your personality. How does that show up? How do you rock your quirks? Again, this is what people resonate with. This is where we find common ground with others. This is where, you know, we think, oh my gosh, I really want to get to know that person. She seems super cool. And that leads into then how you can help them. And again, I've walked this journey myself. When I started out, I was really very, very vanilla. I didn't rock the boat at all. I didn't, and that's not about being, you know, difficult or, you know, aggressive or anything like that. But I kind of shied away from really taking a stand about some things that I really deeply believed in. And I wanted to be nice, and I wanted everyone to like me. And the bottom line is, when you have a strong, resonant, and aligned brand, not everyone is going to like you. And you have got to get okay with that, because you are not for everyone. You know, you can, I just saw a saying yesterday that you could be the most beautiful, juiciest, ripest peach, and you'll have somebody that hates peaches. And that's okay. That's totally okay. And that's why you really need to ditch the shoulds. You know, you really need to get away from what you think you're expected to be, to say, to sound like, to look like, and be genuine. Be okay with making mistakes. Be okay with not being perfect. Nobody expects that from you. And if they do, they're not your right people. You know, it happens. As an entrepreneur, that's going to happen. And again, it's another factor that really binds your people to you. They see that you're not afraid to mess up and fail. And that in turn makes them more comfortable with making mistakes. So it's a ripple effect that happens when you own your personality and what you bring to the table, and your gifts, and all of those really juicy, wonderful things that are about you, and you're not afraid to show them. So that's the fifth pillar. Now there are some concepts that sit on these pillars that are really, really important as you start to build this solid brand foundation. And the first one is what I call the double take. And this is, how do you get people's attention? You know, how will you get their attention so that they listen to you? And this is, you know, part of building your credibility and your reputation, and letting that a lot of time do the talking for you. That's the great thing about having a strong brand, is that those things can do the heavy lifting for you. You don't always have to be on, because your brand does the talking for you. So there's the double take. And then you have the alignment piece, and that is really about, does the inner brand match the outer brand? So if you're somebody who is on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you're showing these really funny pictures, and you're kind of funny and quirky, and you show your sense of humor, and then I get on your website and it sounds very corporate-y and formal and traditional, there's a misalignment there. And that's going to cause confusion for people, and they're not going to know, you know, what you do or what you say. So you want to make sure that you have this alignment in place. The inner brand matches the outer brand. And then there's the resonance piece. And the resonance piece is all about the connection. So when you've got the double take, you've gotten their attention. They see that the inner and outer matches, that makes sense to them. And then they connect with you. You are showing, you know, your genuine self, the work that you do, and they resonate with that. It speaks to them on an unconscious level. And that leads us into what I believe is the key to unlocking your brand potential. And that is the power and magic of archetypes. And yes, I said magic, because it really is magic. And here's the thing, archetypes help you gain access to your potential. They provide ways for us to understand patterns and themes. And this is really tapping into the subconscious, because our brains are looking for patterns. We want things to make sense. And, you know, when they make sense, it helps us to understand people. You know, it helps us to understand not only your story, but other people's stories as well. It gives you a greater understanding into yourself, how you show up, what motivates you, and how to bring that forth consistently in your work. It's an incredibly powerful way to shortcut meaning and build relationships. And on a grand scale, there's so many examples I could give you, but you know, the easiest one is if you think about Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson has embraced their rebel archetype. You know, they are the, you know, the brand that is different, and they're not afraid to be different. They're not afraid to, you know, challenge the status quo. And that creates raving fans to the point that people tattoo Harley Davidson on themselves. that's a fan right there. If you can get somebody to tattoo your name on themselves, you've got a fan for life. But, you know, the bottom line is they have created this story. They have tapped into a subconscious belief that people want to have about being rebels, and they have embraced that, and they have created a culture around that. So this is, you know, the power of an archetype. It's really about the stories that we have that are essentially imprinted in our DNA. And when we can figure out what our leading archetype is, then we can start honing in on our language. We can start honing in on the imagery that we want to use. And that is what creates that resonance that I talked about before, because that's going to tap into your perfect client's subconscious, and they're going to instantly have an affinity for you. So that's really, and you can see this is one example of an archetype here, the creator. And the creator is also known as the artist, the entrepreneur, the storyteller, the visionary. They're very expressive and imaginative and innovative, and they're constantly looking for patterns in the world. And, you know, they're always wanting to express their creativity in different ways, and they probably got more ideas than they absolutely know what to do with. So this could be you. This could be you if you're listening to this webinar. And there are, I have a way that you can figure out what your leading archetype is as well. If you go to my website, you can take the quiz and you can find out what your leading archetype is, and I guarantee you it will give you insight into you and your brand. So really, you know, the idea of brand and branding can kind of be this nebulous concept. And people often, I will get asked a lot of times, so what does it really mean to have a brand? What's it going to do for me? Well, here's what your brand can do for you. You will make better decisions in your business because you will be clear about what your core values are, how you want to show up, what your message is, your brand voice, your visual identity. And what that will do is will help you figure out how to best market yourself, how to promote yourself, how to connect with others. And so it will absolutely help you make better decisions in your business, because you won't feel like you have to do every marketing du jour strategy that comes along. You'll know whether or not it's right for you and your business, all based off of your brand. It builds the know, like, and trust factor so much more quickly, so much more quickly. People are clear about who you are and what you stand for and what you do. And they can self-select, are they in or are they out? Because that's not your job. That's something that is for people in your orbit to decide. You just have to show up as you. It creates community. This is a great way to start building your community. When you have a strong, clear brand, people, again, gravitate towards that. And you get to show up as a leader. There's also clear differentiation. You might do the same work as someone else, but the way that you do it and how you do it is different. Your story is different. Your brand is different. It helps you not to sound like everyone else out there in your niche or however, whatever you want to call it. It lets you be you. It lets you naturally tap into your gifts and your talents and your strengths and own them and not dismiss them as something that's so easy for you that, you know, everybody should be able to do this. You know, it lets you be you. It lets you rock your quirks. It lets you show up. It lets you come to the front of the table. You know, and here's the thing, and this is another challenge that I find with women entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, you are your brand. It started with your idea, with your work that you wanted to do. Whether or not you want to build your brand into a company that you're not front and center on, people connect with people. And that is really the bottom line. And when you have this very clear brand, there's a higher perceived value of what you offer. You've built credibility, you've built reputation, and as such, your value rises. You become the person that people want to work with. I mean, think again about role models that you may have, women you might admire or look up to, women entrepreneurs, and what do you see as their perceived value? Is the information that they're giving really so different than somebody else in their field? No, it's not. But they have built a strong, clear brand, and it makes what they offer higher in perceived value. And that can be the difference between a profitable business and a business that doesn't make it. So let's talk a little bit about a before and after. So Amy was a client of mine. She came to me. She wanted to rebrand herself. This was her current website. And mind you, a brand is not just about a website, but it's a really good visual representation of how your brand shows up. So I always like to use this as an example, because sometimes these other things are not so easy to quantify. So she came to me. She had branded herself as a bookkeeper, but really what she was an online financial manager. You know, she took online entrepreneurs, she took their businesses and she streamlined things. She made, put processes in place. She showed them where they were leaving money on the table, and she, was really the back end of their business for them. So you look at this website and it's nice. It's very nice. She had mosaics. She originally had thought mosaics were all the pieces of a picture coming together to make a beautiful mosaic in business. But there's nothing here that would make me choose her as my online financial manager, or bookkeeping and accounting, QuickBooks training, payroll. Nothing. There's really nothing here that stands out to me that makes me go, oh my gosh, I have to work with her. So we did a deep dive into her brand over 6 weeks, and here's what we came up with afterwards. Now, one of the key concepts that kept coming up over and over again as we took this deep dive was that Amy felt like her clients were rock stars. She wanted them to feel, and she wanted them to feel like that in their businesses and in her client experience. And she also is a huge music fan. She has a son named after her guitar. So, music was very important to her and was really part of who she was. So we took that and we ran with it. And we came up with the Entrepreneur's Anthem. And, you can see her tagline there: crank your profits, ditch your worry, rock your biz. We took that language that was so resonant for her, and we crafted really this amazing brand that truly represents who she is and the work that she does. And if you have a chance, you can click on her sizzle reel there. It's really awesome. So that's sort of the top half of her homepage. And then the bottom half, and the crowd goes wild. Less worry, more awesome. We've got your back. That's really what her brand promise was. I want to make the numbers easy for you. I don't want you to stress about them. I want to be your backstage manager. And that's how we positioned her brand. And we even, her whole lexicon of language. Her team is the band, how to crank the nuts and bolts and processes in an entrepreneur's business, and then really coming down to the white hot profits. And again, go from rock band to multi-platinum with Rock Your Profits, and the crowd goes wild. So we took this very kind of safe brand that she had, an expected brand with the blues and the greens and, you know, representing money and security, and we turned it upside down. And she has this brand that really is freaking awesome. And it is absolutely a clear call to her ideal clients. She would have me in a heartbeat. Now, she might not have another entrepreneur, but that's okay, because it would not be her ideal client. So this is where this is so, so important. So how do you get that? Well, I am opening registration for a program called AMPLIFY, and it's a brand immersion experience. It is a proven step-by-step process framework that I use with my private clients in helping them get clear on their brand, attracting their perfect clients, and making more money in their business. This is the first time actually that I'm offering this as a group coaching program. Typically, I work one-on-one with clients, but I wanted to find a way that I could bring this methodology out and serve more entrepreneurs in a way that was meeting them where they were at right now in their business, with their financial situation, and yet still giving them all the elements that I use with my private clients. So, whoops, right click instead of left click. So what will AMPLIFY do for you? It will help you craft a brand that is genuine and inviting. It's a brand, it will help you craft a brand that truly represents you and your business from the inside out. This is not about crafting a tagline or a logo, or even getting the fonts and colors right on your website at first. Because the first thing that you need to do is work on the inner brand. And what will that do? That will attract the clients that you're dying to work with. The ones that you see going past you that are hiring other coaches and consultants, and you know darn well that you could work with them and you could make a difference. And yet they're not choosing you. You'll also get coaching and mentoring from me over this 6 week period. Each module, I'm going to talk about the modules here in a minute, will be delivered by live webinar, so you'll have a chance to ask me questions. I'll be doing coaching calls throughout the course so that you can get clarification further on some things that you might be challenged with around some element of your brand. You'll also get lifetime access to the course. I'm thinking right now, this is because it's the first time I'm offering it. It's going to be very high touch, very high level personal, but in the future it will not be. I think this is going to be more of a self-study course, but you'll have lifetime access to the updates and materials to the course. So once you're in, you're in. This is about you being visible now. No more hiding. No more letting fear keep you small. Whatever your definition of small is. No more letting someone else have the clients that you know that you can make a difference for. It's time to be visible. It's time to own it. It's also time to develop your brand voice and tone. This is so critical to your brand. Really understanding your brand voice and knowing how you want that to show up day in and day out. And it's also about defining your visual brand identity. What are the colors and palettes and fonts that truly imbibe your brand vibe? I made it rhyme. And we're going to cover that in this course. So modules 1 and 2 are about the archetypal framework that I talked about a little bit earlier. It's an overview of the 12 archetypes. You're going to get your what your leading archetype is, and then we're going to talk about supporting archetypes, and you're going to have access to all 12 archetype code guides that I've created, so you can figure out what your 2 supporting archetypes are, and that really creates that perfect trifecta in your brand. We're going to talk about how those are really the anchors for your brand, and how they will be crucial in your brand identity. And then we'll identify those core values that really are the North Star of your brand, that will guide every decision that you make in your business. And then in module 2, we're going to talk about that brand message, the mission statement that makes sense, not something long and complicated, but something that's simple and something you'll remember and something you believe in for yourself. And the essence of your brand, concise, clear, and embracing your gifts and superpowers. We all have a superpower, and typically we don't recognize it as a superpower. So we're going to talk about how we hone in on those strengths and gifts. In modules 3 and 4, in module 3, we're going to be talking about who are you talking to anyway. We're going to do an ideal client analysis. This is not about creating an avatar. This is about really getting down deep into the emotions and feelings of your perfect clients and how you can, again, increase or decrease whatever's going on there. It's also about mapping out their journey with your brand experience. You know, what do you want them to do each step of the way? And it's finding the sweet spot between your language and their language. And you hear that all the time in marketing about you need to speak your client's language. But if it doesn't sound like you, it's not going to be resonant. It's not going to be aligned. And it's not going to create connections with your right people. And so right from there, we're going to go into the voice of your brand. So this is the difference between your brand voice and the tone of your voice. Compiling your brand blacklist. These are the words that would never, ever, ever, ever cross your brand vocabulary. You know, you would never use these things. And this is then about developing what your lexicon is, those key words and phrases that are resonant for your leading archetype, and how to weave those into your copy and into your visual identity. And we're going to talk about taglines and logos and labels, and are they appropriate? Do you need them or do you not need them? And then in module 5, we're going to talk about the vibe of your brand. So tying your visual identity to your leading archetype. So this is about showcasing your personality. It's about the fonts and typography that you may use to create that brand vibe, and the power of the colors that you choose. When I first started out, my first website was kind of a lot like Amy's. It was blue and green because those were my favorite colors, but it didn't capture. It was a horrible website. I hated it. It didn't really capture the essence of who I was and what my message was. So we're going to talk about how to tie that together. And then finally, you know, all of this work doesn't mean anything if you are still letting your archetypal shadow get in the way. So this is about escorting your inner critic to the door. This is the mindset piece. This is about allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be visible, to show up, and to let yourself be genuine. So what's the icing on the cake? These are the, you know, the bonuses, those things that, you know, you've got to have. So the icing on the cake is a private Facebook community where I will be stalking you pretty much as we go through the 6-week process to make sure that, you know, the information is connecting with you and you're able to apply it to your particular situation. You're also going to get an amazing website checklist from my uber talented website designer, Angel Sullivan. It's amazing. I'm not kidding. It is absolutely the best checklist I've seen for helping you develop your website. You're also going to get the ingredients for a delicious about page. What are the components that you need to have in your about page that makes it stand out, that connects people, that tells your story in a way that doesn't sound like you telling your story? And I'm also going to give you in-depth feedback on your website. So throughout the 6 weeks, I'm going to take a look at your website. I'm going to tell you where I think you know, things are not aligning with what I'm seeing as your brand is being uncovered, and what you can do about it. And really, finally, the more icing or the cherry on top, you will be crafting a brand style brief. And this is so important to your brand. You'll have your brand vision statement. You'll have a mission, your brand credo, you know, that message, your promise. What is the essence of your brand, the core values, the visual brand identity, your brand voice and tone, the qualities and characteristics and traits of your brand. And this is absolutely one of the most important things you can do for your brand. This is basically your brand's Bible. And one of the reasons it's so important is that, you know, as you grow, as your brand grows, as you're looking to outsource things and hire a web designer or a copywriter, or even if you're writing your copy yourself, hiring a VA, an online business manager, this is something you can give them, and it will instantly capture who you are and your business and how it shows up. You know, if you're gonna redo your website and you're gonna hire a web designer, no more going back and forth and trying to figure out your colors and the web designer kind of guessing at what it is you want. You're gonna have it right here. It's so critical to have a brand style brief in place. And you're gonna get one in this course. So you could do this by yourself, absolutely. I mean, information is everywhere, but you know, you're always going to be looking at it through the lens of your perspective. And it's so important to get outside eyes and an outside perspective and someone who knows, you know, what elements should be in place and how to connect those dots for you. So your investment in Amplify to pay in full is $9.99. That's a one-time payment. And if you choose to pay in full, I have a special surprise for you. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because that wouldn't be a surprise, would it? Or there's also a to-pay option, which is actually, that's a typo on there. That should be $500. And then the remainder $500 billed in 30 days. So it's $1,000. It's not, yeah, it's not the $1,050 that's there. Sorry, that was a typo on my part. And then I've been talking to a few women who would really, really like to take the course, but can't quite swing either the full payment or the two payment. So I just added a 4-pay option of $250 billed every 30 days. So you can still get in the course in an affordable way. You can still get that resonant aligned brand. You can get, you know, everything, and you can still, you know, the course will be over and you'll still be paying for it, but you'll have everything in place that you need to take your brand forward and start rocking it. So if this sounds like something that would be of value to you and your business, you can go to daniellemiller.com/amplify. And you'll see all the details there on the page. So, you know, I want to make this as easy as I possibly can for you to take the course. I know it's going to make a difference for you and your business. I absolutely can guarantee it. And on that page, you'll also see testimonials from other women that I've worked with who have also, you know, gotten really clear on their brand and how it shows up. So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you're hearing this as a replay, I want to thank you again for your time and attention. And you can download a brand checklist and start amplifying your brand right away. And you can go to, you see the link here, it's daniellemiller.com/amplify-brand-checklist. And that is a free gift for you today for being here, for taking some time out of your day to spend with me. I'm so grateful and appreciative, and I want to thank you for that. So again, if you are wanting to get into Amplify, registration closes June 30th at midnight. You can go to daniellemiller.com/amplify, and there is one testimonial from the lovely Jen McRobbie, who is the best-selling author of Why Is She Acting So Weird? And so I again, thank you for being here with me today. It's been a pleasure, and I'm going to stop sharing. Get out of this. Hello, here I am. Let's see, what do we got going on in the chats? All right. Okay, so are there any questions? Does anybody have anything that they want to ask me about branding? Hit me. Let's go. Let's do this. Who's got questions today? You're awfully quiet out there. All right, I don't see questions right now. Probably you're all still trying to process this information and your brain's kind of whirly brain. If you have any questions about the program, you can email me at danielle@daniellemiller.com. I'll get your questions answered for you. If you want to hop on a call with me to find out whether or not the program is right for you, if it's something that you and your business will benefit from right now, we can set up a call Monday, and I can get your questions answered then. So I'm so delighted that you joined me today. I hope you will join me in Amplify. It really will make a difference in your business and your brand, and will help you show up, stand out, get clear, get clarity, and get an irresistible brand. So have a great day, everybody. I'm looking forward to talking with you soon. See ya.